Hey there, my friends at Lincoln Elementary School. As you probably know, it's Halloween. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to take you on a field trip from our garden here at the school to a pumpkin patch. And we're going to talk about how to figure out how many seeds there are in a pumpkin without having to count all of them. I think it's going to be pretty fun. Okay, so to get there, here's what we need to do. Let's close our eyes. We're in our garden right now, and we're going to think real hard. I'm going to count to 3, and when we open our eyes, we're going to be in the pumpkin patch, not in the garden. Okay? Here we go. Hey, come on, close your eyes. All right, 1, 2, 3. Whoa! Look at that. Look at these pumpkins around here. I mean, there's pumpkins everywhere. Isn't that pretty cool? Halloween's a fun time. Now, just say I went out into that pumpkin patch and I picked a pumpkin like this. And I wanted to know how many seeds are there in this pumpkin, but I didn't want to have to count all of them. How would I be able to do that? Well, so some of you probably know I'm a scientist. And one of the things that scientists have to do a lot is count things. And we can't always count everything. So we have to have ways that we can get a pretty good estimate or a good guess on how many things there are inside of something without having to count all of it. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint and a trick that you could use to count the number of seeds in a pumpkin without having to count all of them. All right, so here's what we got we got our nice big jack-o'-lantern pumpkin from the field back here. I'm going to take this knife and I'm going to cut this guy in half. Let's see here. Got to be kind of careful when you cut open a pumpkin because you don't want to cut yourself. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to cut the pumpkin right down the middle. And it's going pretty well. Alrighty, I'm getting there. Do you like making jack-o'-lanterns? I do. It's a fun thing to do. I hope you have fun doing that this Halloween. All right, there we go. I'm almost halfway through. All right, watch this now. Let's open up the pumpkin. All right. So now we've got our 2 halves of the pumpkin, right? Now, the way to estimate how many seeds there are in here is I'm going to cut one of these halves in half one more time. So we got our 2 halves. Let me put this one down. And I'm going to cut this one in half again. All right, so now I've got this half cut into half, and that's 2 quarters. So to estimate how many seeds there are in a pumpkin, all you really need to do is take 1 quarter that you cut open and count the number of seeds in there. And then let's just assume that there's 50 seeds in this quarter of a pumpkin. Okay, so there's 50 seeds in a quarter. And let's see now, we know that a pumpkin has 4 quarters. So then you could take 50, multiply it by 4, because there's 4 quarters in a pumpkin, and you'd get the total number of seeds in a pumpkin. So if there's 50 seeds in 1 quarter, that means it's very likely that there's another 50 seeds in the 2nd quarter. That would give us 100 seeds, right? And another 50 seeds in the 3rd quarter. And the last quarter would have 50 more seeds. So 50, 100, 150, 200. 200 seeds in a pumpkin. Now, that's a pretty nifty little trick. Now, what if you had a different size pumpkin? Well, as long as it's the same type of pumpkin, my guess would be that we can actually figure out the number of seeds in other sizes of pumpkin as long as they're the same kind, if we were also to weigh the pumpkin. Okay, so this is just a home scale like you might have in your bathroom. And what we can do is we can put our pumpkin on the scale and then weigh it. okay? Once we've weighed it, and we can come up with a very simple little graph that shows us the relationship between the weight of the pumpkin and the number of seeds in that pumpkin. The heavier ones are going to be on this side, and the lighter ones are on this side. And then we're going to weigh our pumpkin and say the weight of the pumpkin is 1 kilogram right here. Well, all right, a pumpkin that had 1 kilogram of weight had, let's just say, 100 seeds. We're going to put a little dot right there. Then we did another pumpkin. Say the second pumpkin was 2 kilograms weight. All right, second pumpkin's 2 kilograms of weight. See there? And it's got maybe, let's say, 200 seeds. And then the third pumpkin, maybe it's 3 kilograms, or even a bigger one, 3 kilograms of pumpkin. And maybe it's got 300 seeds. And if you connect all these dots together, you get a nice line. Just say you took a new pumpkin, a different sized one than the ones that you cut open and measured. You could figure out the weight of the pumpkin, and then you could go up on your little graph here until you hit the line, and then go over on the other side until you hit the line for the number of seeds. And that's a pretty good way to guess how many seeds there are in a pumpkin without even having to cut it open. Isn't that cool? I think it's pretty cool. Now, there's a lot of different types of pumpkins. So this method that I've just described would work, I think, if you stayed within the same type of pumpkin. But let's just say you wanted to use a different kind of squash or pumpkin like this one. Well, you'd need to come up with a new graph, especially for this type, because this isn't a jack-o'-lantern. This is what's called a Kabocha squash or a Kabocha pumpkin. And we'd have to come up with a different graph for this one. And just say we wanted to look at this other kind of pumpkin. This isn't a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. You can see these are different pumpkins. So you'd have to come up with a different graph for this type. So that method that I've just described should work as long, I think, as you stay within the same type of pumpkin. I like pumpkins and squashes. Here's a few of my favorite ones to eat. So since we're talking about gardening a little bit here, these are really good. These actually, this green one and the orange one are related. These are both Kabocha squashes. This is a butternut squash. This one here is called delicata. It's a delicious one. I had this one for dinner last night. I encourage you to try to eat some pumpkins and squashes because they're very healthy. Anyway, so I hope that helped you figure out how you can figure out how many seeds there are in a pumpkin without having to cut open all those pumpkins. As long as you've done it for a few of them and you've come up with that little graph, you can then estimate how many seeds there are in a pumpkin just based on its weight. We need to get back to our school garden. So let's close our eyes real quick and think hard, and we'll get back to the school garden. Ready, set, 1, 2, 3. Here we are back at Lincoln Elementary School. Now, I hope you guys have fun with Halloween this year. Enjoy making your costumes and trick-or-treating. And don't forget to eat some of your pumpkins, the good eating kind. Take care. Bye.